Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome you to the Canada Day Committee meeting. Time is 7:02. I call this meeting in order. We'll start with land acknowledgement first. So we'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Shelburne reside within the traditional territory and ancestral land of Anishinaabe, including Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Chippewa, and the people of Three Fire Confederacy. This traditional territory upon which we live, work, play, and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions. It is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect the past and present connection of Indigenous people with this land, its waterways, and resources. We encourage residents to view or review the call to action information by visiting the following website to further research and educate themselves. That website is www.dccrc.ca/educational links and /. All right, looking at today's agenda, I would like to, so I'm just gonna quickly connect that, Alice, sorry. Alice. I'm sorry, Alice, I don't have that agenda handy with me, but I will be with you shortly. I know that I did, okay. Alice, do you have agenda handy with you?
Yes, I do.
Perfect, perfect. Oh, you know what? I think I do have that as well. Okay, all right. So start off with the 2.0 adoption agenda. Can I have someone to make a motion to adopt agenda as presented? That's Brian, seconded by Amy. All in favor? I do. Motion carried. To be resolved that the Canada Day Committee adopts agenda as presented. Third person is the declaration of pecuniary interest. A member of the committee are required to state any pecuniary interest in according to with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Does anyone have any conflict of interest to declare, or should they wish to declare at a time at matter presented to you? You may wish to do so. But at this point, is anyone has any conflict of interest to declare? I am seeing none. Perfect, that's good. That moves to the agenda item 4.0, approval of minutes from the meeting held September 28, 2023. Has anyone had a chance to review? I'm sure everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes. Does anyone have any conflict or any amendment to the meeting circulated? I am seeing none. With that, be it resolved that the Canada Day Committee approves the minute of last meeting held on September 28, 23 as presented and circulated. Can I have someone make a motion for that? Brian, seconded by Cheryl. Maybe next time, and all in favor? I do. Motion carries. Thank you. 5.0 new businesses. First up, a review of sponsorship and vendor forms. And I believe the owner of that area is Alice. I'm going to go back to you. Before I present it, I give you the floor. I wanted to thank all of you. I was not available last meeting. I did see all the recording and things went into that meeting. I really wanted to appreciate that, and also for the work that we did it last year, and kudos to entire team. Amy, Alice had read my notes from the meeting or email that I sent forward. I really thank you, bottom of my heart, and kudos to Len and Kyle. Sorry, I slipped memory. Kyle for their extra support during that event. I really, really appreciate that. And I learned a lot from that session. So thank you very much. Over to you, Alice, without further delay, presenting the forms.
Okay, so the forms are attached in the agenda, and just give me one moment and I will share them here. This was just so that we could get the forms out as soon as possible to the members of the public, and that you could start advertising, requesting sponsorships as soon as possible. So if you have any questions about them, or I've got the application form if there's anything you want changed. Same with the vendor forms, they're here as well if you want anything changed on those as well. So they are in the agenda package. I have them here, and I can just make notes of any changes you would like. I'll stop sharing the screen just so that we can see everybody, but if you need me to pull it back up, just let me know.
Fantastic. Alyssa, I have a question. Is it anything change from last year's form? Is there any change that you can point out?
I did not make any changes. No one mentioned any change. I might have attached the wrong version to the agenda, but there are no changes from the form unless you request them at this time.
Perfect, thank you. Cyril, I saw your hands up. Go ahead, please.
Just a spelling mistake on the first application.
That's why I think I might have uploaded the wrong one, because the new one, I saw that too just now. I'm like, wait a minute, I think I added the wrong one.
So that's the same comment you had it, Cyril, last time too.
Yes.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay. Thank you, that's great. Yes, Amy, and then Len.
I was wondering if we could add in the more information section an email address for people to submit the form to. I know on the town's page it had the email address, but I didn't find it on the actual form. So if we're just handing out the forms without a copy of the email or then they wouldn't really know where to submit the forms.
Thank you. I've made a note of that.
Thank you, Amy. Len?
Yeah, just looking at the forms, I didn't see anything above a gold standard sponsorship. We're not offering any ultra platinum sponsorships this year at the bequest of certain potential potential sponsors.
I definitely, we can take that back as a group.
Oh, I think the three are fine, personally.
Okay. Let's hear it from Brian.
I was just thinking that maybe when we send out the sponsorship, like if we all contact sponsors, first of all, it'd be nice to get that list of businesses that we never got last year. So we can all list who we're going to see. But for vendors, and I know Cheryl did a lot of the vendor stuff my first year that I was on the committee. Is it, I'm just gonna throw this out there. What if we think about like offering some kind of a discount if they get their vendorship or fill in or give money or whatever to the vendors before December 31st? So we already have, hopefully gain people ahead of time to book a spot for vendorship, and we give them, I don't know, $20 off or something like that for being a vendor up to October 31st. And then after that, it's the normal price. Just that way we get commitment right away versus, oh, I'll think about it type of thing.
Thank you very much, Brian. Kyle, do you have anything to add on it, on this proposal, or not in proposal, but in terms of this form, and anything that you wanted to speak about it?
No, form looks good to me. I do agree with Brian that if we give an incentive for signing up early, is probably not a bad idea. I might extend it out beyond October 31st, though. I might go to like December 31st.
I'm sure Kyle, Brian meant to say that, but I think it just
Yeah.
slipped out because he said it end of the year. So yeah, definitely. But yes, Kyle, that's a great catch for sure. So having said that, just wondering, how many of basically of us just a testing the floor that would like to proceed with that kind of sort of an incentive idea for the vendors and sponsors might not be, as you said it, Brian. I guess vendors what you were looking at. Is that correct? Yes, correct. Yeah. So just testing a floor, see if we are in alignment or agreement with that, and then we'll just discuss. We need to go through the process to see what percentage or what amount are we talking when we talk about that. Yes, Brian.
And maybe, and I'm not sure if we can do this legally or not, but maybe just they give us a $20 deposit type of thing for their spot that's non-refundable. So if they don't show up, they lose their $20. Or I'm not sure if we can do that legally, or I don't know what the.
Alice, any suggestion for that?
I don't know what the about returning deposits or keeping deposits. That's something that I'd have to ask the Treasury Department. That's not a question that I could answer immediately tonight. So I do know, though, we do need to make one change on the vendor form in regard to the special event fee versus the fee for being a vendor. And we need, it would be appropriate to ask council to rescind the bylaw for special event fees, because right now we had to charge one or the other, and it was very confusing. If you recall the discussion back in the spring, that there was this fee that we had to charge, and it would be easier to explain if we didn't have to explain it, if we could just charge one fee.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So Alice, which direction should we move? Can we look into the form area first and then move on to the leading discussion? Maybe, yeah, it's a good idea. So yeah, I'm just looking for any other inputs in regards to the form that presented. Besides the changes that Cheryl and what Alice had just mentioned, any other changes? I am seeing none. Perfect. Well, Alice, do we need anything onto that motion, anything like that?
So we would need a motion from the committee requesting that council consider rescinding the bylaw to charge the special event fee.
Perfect. And do we need any motion on adopting the form as not as presented, but with amendment that we propose to amend?
It would be best if, like, so the sponsorship form, we could absolutely, I can just make that, you could do as amended, because all we're changing to that one is the email address. But let me just share it again real quickly, because I did have the wrong one there. So bear with me just 1 second here, and I'll pull up the correct one, just so everybody knows exactly what they are. Sorry, my internet is being slow. Okay, so this is the form. You should see that the spelling is corrected on this one, and this one did have the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. It did have the car show sponsor, which we are aware that we don't have anyone to run it at this time. So I would suggest taking the car show sponsor out at this time, and we can always add it back in if we get a car show. But at this point, we don't have anyone to run it. So there is that possibility that that could come off. The information is there the same as this year. Vendor form, how payments can be made with an email address for payments. and then more information, and I'll make sure that the email address gets added there. So that is the sponsorship form.
Classic. Thank you very much, Alice, for going over that back again. So at this point, I am looking for kind of two-part motion. First is to approve the sponsorship form as presented with the requested amendment. If I can have someone to make that motion to approve that sponsorship form as discussed, with an amendment. Can I have someone make a motion for that? And that's Kyle, seconded by Len. All in favor? I do. Motion carried. Second portion of the form would read what Alice has just mentioned about council to consider help me that word again. Rescind. Yeah. The fees for the sponsorship, is that correct?
For the special event fee.
Special event fee. Alice, would you mind reading that motion for me, please?
Okay, just give me one
Thank you.
moment here. So be it resolved that the Canada Day Committee requests that council consider rescinding the bylaw that requires the charging of the special event fee for Canada Day.
Can I have someone to make a motion for that? Brian, seconded by myself, and all in favor? We all do. Thank you. Motion carried. Just going back to discuss an area regarding the special fees, I guess. What do the committee feel about it, and what amount, and by what date should we be expecting a vendor to fill out, or sponsors to fill out those forms and things like that? Is there any guideline? Anyone? Brian had proposed $20 to deposit. Alice will get that information back more to that. But what's the sort of a discount, or the portion that we were talking about? Like, what's the amount that you guys think would be an appropriate amount as an incentive for someone to sign up early? Anyone beside Brian? Brian, I heard from you. Let's hear. Maybe, yeah, go ahead, Brian, since your mic is unmuted, and then Len.
Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. How much is the vendor permit?
$100.
So maybe do like $80, like $20 off type of thing, up to December 31st, and then after that, it's full price, and they must give a $20 deposit that's not refundable if that's allowed.
Len, and then Kyle.
Yeah, so we're offering a $20 deposit or $20 discount to all three levels. Is that correct? Just for clarification.
Just the vendor. So it's just $100.
There's just one level of vendors.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're not doing that. All right. Okay. No. Yeah. No, that's fine. Perfect. Sounds good.
Kyle.
Do we really want to go down the road of getting deposits rather than just getting the full? The reason I ask that is because most of these events, if somebody's going to go and be a participant, they're going to put their money in and they're going to go. They're not going to do a deposit. I'm not sure a deposit's even worth it.
Brian, follow up on that?
So we go to the home shows, we have to give a deposit that's not refundable. The reason why I'm asking for the deposit is if it's a crappy day or a crappy weekend, they may just not show up. You know, at least we got $20 out of the deal or whatever type of thing, right? Because we say, like, hopefully we're gonna have lots of vendors like we did a few years ago that, you know, we may not had enough space for that for someone else. So that's the only reason I'm asking for it. But we always have to give a deposit when you go to a home show that's non-refundable. So
Before Amy, I come to you, just wanted to hear if Kyle has any follow-up question on that.
Not really. I mean, I understand the request for the deposit. The only hesitation I have on that is that it gives people the wishy-washy, do I go, do I not? If you're gonna put the money in, you're gonna put the money in. If you want to be part of the event, you're just gonna buy the slot.
Thanks, Kyle.
Just
Amy,
personal my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. And Amy, your thought.
I just had a question. If someone were to pay the vendor fee before the event and then they show up and then they don't show up to the event, would we give them a refund of their vendor fee? Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Perfect. Cyril, you have any input? Do you have an input on that?
Yeah, it's kind of a toss up with this deposit thing. Kind of a pain in the rear end, so. But I understand because I'm wedding officiant, so yes, I always take a deposit. And then if they don't follow up or something, then it is non-refundable. Like I know it's a little bit different, but like Kyle said, if they don't show up, then yeah, you don't get your money back. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be a pain. It could be a pain trying to keep track of deposits. But again, I understand what Brian's saying too. So.
Yeah, the way I interpret this is basically, say if we are going into the route of giving incentive out, what Kyle said it, I'm completely agree with that. Like, you know what, I would get the full money upfront. If they wanted that incentive 20% or $20, rather say, off on that, I would take the $80 upfront and have their slot booked there. In the event it cancel, like if the event cancel, that's different. But other than that, if they don't show up for that, unfortunately, it's lost for them. That's the way I see it. Alice, you have any input?
Yeah, so we could, like, because we do ask for the payment from the vendor when they register to be a vendor. So we are requiring full payment up front. Treasury is not going to appreciate a deposit and then having to follow up. And, you know, if you want to upset the Treasury Department, you know, that's on you. But it would not be something that I would recommend. We could add a clause in the agreement section of the vendor form that refunds will not be provided should the vendor choose to cancel. And then it's right in the form, and then they know. And then if there's some extenuating circumstance, then they can come to the committee and request the refund and the committee can consider it. But we didn't have anybody request a refund when they heard how few vendors there were going to be. Like nobody even brought that up to me this year when they were filling out paperwork. So I know Treasury would appreciate it if we just kept it as one fee and collect the fee up front, and we can always add a clause that no refunds will be given if that makes the committee feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I'm in alignment with what Alice had just mentioned. I hate layaways, definitely, and that's definitely what Treasury would definitely be. It's kind of hard chasing back and forth, kind of thing like that. How much was deposited and what's the balance, things like that, right? So, yeah, Brian.
The only reason I was bringing up, I wasn't aware that they paid for it in full once they, so yeah, if they're paying for it in full, I'm just trying to get them to make a commitment before, you know, April 12th or something like that, that all suddenly we get people then wanting. I'd like them to make the commitment ahead of time. First of all, helps us with our budget going forward if we know it's non-refundable.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing from most of folks here is is we are in kind of agreement of providing or giving an incentive of $20. Are we all in agreement on that area? Can I just have a show of hand on that area? We're good on that, Brian and Amy and Kyle. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So next thing we needed to know is we needed to make it more clear by what date are we, or up until what date are we offering this incentive? Brian.
What's the last day that the town hall's open to over the holiday season?
That is going to be the 22nd at 11:30, December 22nd, 11:30, 12 o'clock, around there.
So I'd make it December 20th that payment needs to be in by then. So that way the town has time to do whatever they have to do.
I'm just thinking as a business perspective as well, right? I mean, if I am a business owner and if I'm putting a deposit for next year event into this year, how would that my balance sheet would look like? And just considering that area, I'm thinking maybe January 31st, but I'm willing to listen to everybody first anyway. But that's just my thought. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
Most businesses operate within the actual calendar year, so I would suggest keeping it within 2023. So if the last day the town hall is open is the 22nd, then that's where my thought would be. Or the 20th, you know what, give a couple of buffers.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Alex, go ahead.
My concern is, are you going to want to look at this vendor form again next meeting, or are you just going to say go with it the way it is? Just, thinking for advertising purposes, for you being able to share it for us at town hall, getting to put it on the website, etc., is really, because if you're going December 22nd, that's just over 2 months. Is that enough time? Does the committee feel that's enough time to advertise it to make this discount worth it, or the January making it 3 months? Because a lot of people aren't necessarily going to be thinking about 2024 events right before Christmas. They're going to be thinking about the Christmas events and the events that they have on at Christmas time. I'm just concerned that you're not going to get as much response as you would like right before Christmas with all the Christmas events happening, and you might get a better response in January when things are slower and they can go, oh, I can book something now and get something on my calendar. Those are just my thoughts.
Thank you. I will hear from Brian and then Lynn.
So we're already being bombarded at work already for sponsorships for 2024.
Yeah, I'm not saying sponsorships. I'm just
Yeah.
saying the vendor sponsorships.
No,
I agree.
Yeah, no, I totally, I get what you're saying, but like, we're already planning like for next year now, like which home shows we're going to, this and that, because we gotta get product available or whatever. So I would think as well, first of all, most businesses that I know of, their year end is in like September, because at December the tax season is just ridiculous trying to get any work done. So we're already planning for next year, like booking our vendor spaces, parades, like we're already booking parades and stuff like that, already for next year. So I would think, I don't know, maybe January 31st is a good idea. Like I'm just, the way I look at it is most of our money's already used up by the middle of December already for the following year, because everyone's been asking. Right, and not just for sponsorships, for anything that we're planning on going into.
Thank you, Brian and Lynn. And then
Well, why don't we pick a target date, something memorable because 2 months isn't probably going to be enough. So I'm going to propose we pick something on the calendar like Valentine's Day, February 14th. That gives them 3 months, 3 months and a bit to make a decision. And we'll call it a sweetheart of a deal if we want to, and turn it into a Valentine's discount. And that way we've got a specific date. It's a memorable date for some. And then that way we can market it as a sweetheart of a deal. Get $20 off.
Thank you, man. That's deal of a deal. I love it. I love it. Love thought. Amy?
I'm good with that. I was just gonna say I agree with Alice that I'm worried December 20th might not be enough time for us to get the word out.
Good. How do we feel about Lan's proposal now? I'm actually loving it. I'm loving it. It's just memorable date, definitely, yeah. So I guess Alice, do we need motion for that to have that incentive, $20 incentive for a vendor space to be booked or reserved by? Okay. All right.
Yes, please. If the committee can make a resolution to offer a $20 discount off the vendor fee for vendors who register for Canada Day prior to February 14th, 2024.
24. Perfect. Thank you. So the motion as more, yeah, Cheryl, seconded by Kyle, all in favor?
Sorry.
Thank you. Motion carried. Alice also wanted to,
Sorry.
yeah, Cheryl, you have a comment, question?
I did, yeah, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that we put in that, that it's non-refundable. Sorry, that's what I wanted to say. So,
Perfect, yes, exactly. I was gonna remind Alice for that as well, that the clause that you mentioned earlier, Alice, if you could just put that.
I will
on
add
the-
that to
on
the resolution. Kyle, are you okay with that as an amendment? Okay, perfect. And that we add the clause that the vendor fee is non-refundable.
Perfect. Sounds good, sounds good. All right. Moving on to the next agenda item that we have, it's regarding the stage update. I believe Jamie is not here with us today. Alice, do you have anything? Yeah.
I do have that update from Jamie. She asked me to let you know that management of the town is going to be arranging for a safety overall inspection of the stage, and they will provide an update as soon as that is completed. She also provided an estimate from a stage provider that rental is for a stage is approximately $1,400 for a weekend based on a Friday delivery and Monday pickup. An install of the stage is $500 and pickup of the stage is $500. Another company provided a quote for full stage productions only, and that quote was $15,000, and they will not book single stage events for Canada Day. So once we have the update on what the town is going to do for the condition of the stage, we can look at what the other activities the town is having that will require a stage, and we can look to see if the Canada Day committee can piggyback onto that with the town and see if we can just add that date so it's not a one-off. But we won't know for sure until we know what the condition of the current stage is.
Thank you, Alice, for update. Len, you have a
I
question?
believe Kyle was first.
Kyle, go ahead.
Alice, I do have a few contacts that do rent stages. If I submitted that to you guys, can you follow up with those contacts and maybe see if we can find something cheaper than what was
Yeah,
being?
if you want to send that to Jamie, yes, absolutely. She can contact them.
Yeah, as far based on those numbers there, I think if we can find anybody cheaper than that, that sounds really expensive to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was, I know she was quite surprised when she was sharing that information with me.
Len and then Brian.
I don't have the date, but I sent to Jamie and Carol a couple of links to stage suppliers for purchase. Seeing as how, if we can't resurrect the existing stage, it might be cheaper in the long run to bite the
Yes.
bullet and.
Yes, we did get that quote, Len, but we haven't pursued that yet because we're still waiting to see what but
Right.
yes, thank you for providing that.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Len and Brian.
Regarding the stage, and I guess this maybe would have to go to town council, I'm not sure. If someone was willing to repair the stage or buy a new stage, could they put their logo on it or something like that?
Yeah, that would have to be approved by council. And yeah, that's what they're gonna have to determine once we determine what exactly the issues are. Can it be repaired or does it require replacement? And then who all uses it, who all needs it, and what the next, so that will be a council decision.
Thank
But
you.
we're just
Alice,
keeping the committee aware that, we are aware of this issue and just needs to be in the back of the committee's mind.
Alice, I just have a question regarding the rental stage. Did we receive 2 quotes or it was just a one?
No, we
2 quotes?
received 2 quotes.
Yeah. So the first quote you mentioned, it's about delivering the stage by Friday. It's for the weekend, Friday to Monday.
Right, but this
1500
being Canada Day being on a Monday
on Monday.
is, it wasn't a clear quote if, so plus the $500, plus the $500. So
Okay.
you're looking at $2,500 for that one.
Yeah, that's the only clarification that I was seeking in that as well, because we have
Yeah.
this Canada Day event is on a Monday this time
Yes.
around. Thank you, Brian.
Does the town charge for use of the stage? Or is it just donate it, like? Because I don't think us the Canada Day Committee paid anything for it, but I just didn't know if we charge for it, or like, does the town charge for it, or is it just kind of donate it?
Well, if it depends on the situation, right? Because if Fiddle Park is rented, the rental fee would include the use of the stage. If council donates the use of Fiddle Park, then council is donating the use of the stage. So yes and no.
Thank you, Brian and Alice. So Alice, as you said, we don't have the determined date yet to receive that update or to get an update on a stage. Is there any date?
I don't
proposed
have a
to
date.
receive?
No, we
You
will
don't have a
bring
date.
it. Jamie and I will keep it on our radar and we will add it to the agenda again as soon as we have a further update for you.
Perfect. Yeah,
But
we
we wanted
wanted
to make sure we gave you the information that we had as it did come up last meeting.
Perfect. And then yes, we just don't want to run into the situation, a last minute type of situation. So thank you for that heads up, and definitely keep us posted with that. Anyone have any question regarding stage? No, I'm hearing none here. So move on to the agenda item 5C, which is beer garden requirement update. Alice.
Okay, so this was just, there was brief discussion at the last meeting about the possibility of holding a beer garden and what the requirements and the approvals would be. So far the information that I've been able to get is the first step would require council's approval to consider having a beer garden at the event before we could apply to the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario and get the requirements, what they would require for this. So I can't tell you what the ACGO would require because they won't tell us everything until we have that approval from council. To get an approval from council, we have to have the exact date and time that the committee is requesting. So we can't just say, oh, we want to have a beer garden on Canada Day. We would have to say, we want to have a beer garden from X o'clock to Y o'clock. And then if and when you got the council approval, then we could go through the next steps.
Thank you, Alice. I saw a couple of hands go up. Let's start with Amy. Had her hand up first, and then Len, and then Brian.
I was going to ask how the process is different if we're having a different organization run the beer garden.
Because the beer garden is still on town property, it still requires council approval as a first step.
Just to follow up, Alice, to Amy's question, say we do have a council's approval for the beer garden, and what to Amy's comment, if we have someone interested, running that area, who gets the approval from OLG commissions and ACGO approval and things like that? Like,
So it would have to be, it would most likely be a combined because the town would have to be involved because it's on town property.
Yeah, got it. Sorry, jump ahead of the queue. Len and Brian.
Yeah, I was next. Come on. Kidding. So hypothetically, a beer garden, the question comes up for me is, who's going to run it? Not the 6 of us, 7 of us. I mean, is that a Legion thing? Is that a Rotary thing? Is that a, you know what I mean? Like a beer garden is at least a 20-person 3-shift kind of a event. So I'm not saying no to a beer garden. I'm just saying is we better find somebody who's willing to step up and oversee it, because we're going to be busy doing other things.
Thank you, Len. Brian?
I was just gonna say that we could, since Len brought that up, so if we went to the council and said that, it's gonna be candidate or July 1st from 4 o'clock to last call is at 9:30, so the 10 o'clock, which that's theoretically what our hours are going to be anyways. If another organization, if we submit it that way, if we got approval from the town, and then let's say the Rotary Club or Kinsman or whatever says they're going to run it for us, do we have to get permission again from the town because they're going to run it for us?
Alice, could you help us in that area?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I could suggest that in the resolution that you indicate to council that you will be reaching out to organizations to see if you could get an organization that would be willing to run the beer garden on behalf of the Canada Day Committee. Or you might, it's one of those, I don't know which comes first. Do you ask the organization first and have the organization ask council, or do you ask council and then go to the organization and say, we have the permission from council?
Thank you, Alex.
Sorry, I can't give you a clear answer on that.
No, thank you. Amy and then Len back again.
I think we should find an organization first and then go together to council to have approval. Because if we can't find an organization, we're not going to be able to do it.
Len and then Brian.
Okay, so just so hypothetically, again, let's say we find a organization that's willing to run it. We go to council, we get them to go to council and get all the permissions and get everything dotted and crossed. The next question becomes, who gets the profits? Would it be the organization? Would it be a split between the town and the organization? Would it be a split between the Canada Day Committee and the organization? I mean, that's going to be another hurdle to to cross once, you know, let's say we get the Rotary to say, hey, are you willing to look after a beer garden? Then we're into a negotiation of, like, I would suspect that Rotary would be saying, okay, we'll do it, but it'll be our own thing. Then we're going to be doing that at the pleasure of the committee, the candidate committee. So I just, yeah, just things to think about.
Thank you, Brian, for the new perspective. Len, sorry. Brian and Amy, you're actually next on this, but I would like to hear fresh perspective. Kyle, go ahead, please.
In the past, we've had the Kinsmen run the beer gardens, and the agreement that we, as the candidate committee, was that the beer gardens were run by them. They got the profits from it.
Thank you. Brian and Amy. Sorry, go ahead, Brian first and then Amy.
My only thought was if we have permission from the town, we could say, like, you know, we want 50 cents off every cup or something like that sold. Not asking for a lot, but something, because we're holding the event. They're making 100% of the profit. So if we ask for 50 cents type of thing on the dollar, like on per cup, you know, that's not asking a lot from them. They're still they can charge $5.50 at a drink or whatever. So we get our 50 cents. That's the only thing I was thinking about. If we went to council first and we got the permission, then we're kind of standing in a position to maybe negotiate with.
Amy?
I was gonna say I'm in support with giving the organization the most of the profits, since they're gonna be the ones doing the work. Also, if it's a local organization, we know that the money is going back into the community. So it's not like it's leaving Shelburne. It'd be nice to get a little bit of something, but I would still be in support of it if they kept all of it, because it's a lot of work to run a beer garden. It'll draw in a lot of people, which will be good for the event in a whole. But it is a lot of work they would have to put into it.
I really appreciate all of your input into this. First is basically, I'm just trying to digest this area as well, that beer garden, as Alice had mentioned, a couple of ways we can propose. We can propose to the town first, or council first, and then get their approval, go out in community and find who wants to run that. And the second thing is, should we find someone, organize them first, and then go to the council together to get an approval? So that's the area that we need to go into that. Alice, if you can just enlighten us with your thought on that.
Yeah, I just wonder if it would be better to approach an organization first, because they might want to have some say on the timing, especially if it's an organization that has done this before, as this committee members have not. So they might say, no, we don't want to do it 4:30 to 9. But if that's what we have the approval for, right? So maybe get a couple of committee members to join a sub-working group, 2 or 3 members, and have those members reach out to organizations. So not everyone is reaching out, and they can be representing the committee to reach out to see if there's interest.
Thank you, Alice. Brian?
And I'm in all favor of using service clubs or whatever, but I also was thinking of, we have a lot of craft breweries in the area, and having say, listen, we can have a beer gardens, we want 50% or 50 cents off every cup, or a buck off every cup that you sell, and let them, so they can promote their product. Their, you know, if that's Huckley Valley Brewery or Mona Cliff Brewery or whatever, that they promote it, but we already have the permission from the town. That's kind of what I was thinking about, because I know the service clubs, they didn't donate anything to us, and they were actually taking the money off the donate people coming into the park too as well. So
Thank you, Brian. Amy, you get some thought on it. I think did I see your hand up, or no? Okay. Kyle, anything to add on it?
I actually like the idea of going to the craft brewers around the area. I mean, we've got Caledon Hills, we've got Monocliff Brewery, we've got, I believe Grand Valley's now got a brewery as well. I mean, there's a lot of people that we could approach that it might be worthwhile to talk to them. Get that as a sponsorship as well.
Amy?
Even if we got like craft brewers, we would still need to have someone run the beer garden as well, right? So maybe if we find like the Kingsman or whoever to run the beer garden, we can make a committee with some of them, some of us, and we can suggest things like that.
Brian, you have a follow-up? Sorry, Kyle, you have a follow-up on that?
Yeah, actually, the thought would be that if we approach the craft brewers and they want to run the beer garden, they run the beer garden. They pay to be the provider of, but they also provide the people who are going to run it as well.
Brian, you have something?
I
to
was,
add?
I was just gonna say the same thing as Kyle. You know, they look after it all. They're just giving us, as I said, whatever we just determine we want per cup.
Perfect. So let's take a step back and decide, first of all, whether we want to go route one, reach out to council first, get their approval. Second is reach out to the organization and then reach out to the council for an approval. That's the first step that we want to do it. And second step is it's regarding the subcommittees. So who is in line with the reaching out to council to get an approval first? That's what I'm looking for. That's Ryan. Anyone else? All right. And who is in a line to go to the organization first and then reach out to council? All right. 2, 3, 4. All right. So that's the route we're going to go. And to do that work, we need subcommittee. So let's form the subcommittee for that. And then, so who is interested in the subcommittee of beer garden formation? Anyone voluntarily? I see Brian said yes. Yeah, he's laughing. Yes, he said yes. And Amy also said yes. I just got that text message. Is that correct, Amy? There we go. Thank you. And who'll be the third wheel on that? Kyle and Cyril, anyone? Kyle.
I'd like to suggest Kyle, yeah.
Perfect. Let's go for it. So I think we
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We can go taste test.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. So definitely committee is gonna hold Kyle, Brian, and Amy to provide an update going forward on beer garden update. So we just need a motion to form this subcommittee first. So be it resolved that the Canada Day Committee approves committee member Kyle, Brian, and Amy as a subcommittee for beer garden requirement update.
So Samir, I'm just going to change the wording to sub-working
Thank you.
group instead
Thank
of
you.
subcommittee, okay?
Thank you. So with that said, Kyle is in agreement with that. Who's a seconded? Amy, and all in favor? We all. Perfect. Motion carried. Thank you. So do we need anything else in regards to reaching out to, because then now this subgroup will be reaching out or reporting it to us to the committee and then going to the council. Am I correct, Alice, in that matter?
Yes, we'll have the sub-working group come back to us once they have found someone that is willing to do it. And then the sub-working group can bring back to the committee any negotiations as far as percentage or amount per drink, and then the committee as a whole can make the request to council on behalf of the committee and whoever they have found willing to host this.
Thank you very much, Alice. Any new business item on the floor that anyone would like to propose? I see Amy, Cyril. Go ahead, Amy.
So it's about the car show. So I contacted my person that I know that runs the car show for Ribfest. Unfortunately, they're not available to help us with the car show. For Canada Day, they did say that potentially they might be available next year, but not this year.
Thanks for the update. Cheryl and then Brian.
Okay, I was at the Pumpkin Fest on last weekend and I saw something that might be very interesting to have at Canada Day, and that was the little train around the track. And it was really a cool thing. And then they also had like bouncy castle, rock climbing things. Like they have, I talked to the man because I'm also on the fair committee, and he has quite an array of items that might be of interest, that we get something for Canada Day, like that train going around the track, like might be a good draw to have. Just an idea.
Thank you, Cyril, for such a. Yeah, Alice, you have any
And
comments?
just a follow-up question to that. Cheryl, did you get his contact information then? You indicated that
Yes,
you
I
spoke with
did.
him?
Yep.
So would you be able to reach out to him and ask him if he's available and to provide a quote on what he has and what he could, sorry, not
Yeah,
to jump on you, Samir, there,
No,
but
no. Yeah, I took a picture of the back of his shirt because he was waiting on the other truck to come, so I have his information. He's from Angus, actually. So pretty local too. And I can send, Alice, I can send you the pictures that I took from Pumpkin Fest.
that would be
And
great.
I know Len was there too. There was also a magician, I think, as well. I wasn't there the whole time. I was just, my husband was doing some charity thing there, but yeah, so there's a lot of activities that might be of interest for us to have something at Canada Day.
Yeah, because we know, as we found last time, that a lot of things booked up for Canada Day fairly quickly. So if this is something that the committee was interested in, I would suggest getting the information and if making a decision if available sooner
Yeah,
than
like
later.
he had one truck there when we got there, and when we were leaving, another truck came. I don't know what was on that truck, but like I said, they have all kinds of things. So that's my story.
Perfect. Brian and then Len.
The only thing I would like to add is if we do go ahead with the beer gardens, to get quotes again for ATM to have at the Fiddle Park there, because obviously people are going to need cash. So we could get some quotes for
Yes,
2024.
Jamie had already indicated to the ones that provided quotes in 2023 that it was already going to be reconsidered by the committee for 2024. So she already preempted that.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Len.
So in conversations with Bobby Ferguson from Rotary, she was saying that the cost of the inflatables that were there was $4,000 for the day. There were 4 inflatables. One was a Velcro wall. I did not get a quote for the train. There was Elsa was there from Frozen, so there was a entertainer there doing a couple of songs, and she was pretty good. So I did get her contact information as well. The magician was good. He was just tying balloons for most of the day. So, I mean, it was overall a good event. There was about 350 people at it. So, just to give you guys some numbers in terms of what the inflatables may cost.
Thank you, Len, for a little bit more insight to that that perspective. anyone else has anything else to discuss? Alice, go ahead.
Sorry, there was just one item that was brought up at the last meeting as far as the possibility of putting coin boxes at different locations. And Jamie and I did look into the funding program requirements, and it said activities where there is fundraising, where the primary purpose is fundraising or contests, is not eligible. Our concern is that if we put coin boxes out, that they would see that as fundraising. And so we would just wanted to bring that back to the committee, that we wouldn't recommend doing that.
Thank you, Alice, for the clarification on that. Cyril, you are or you're forwarding those pictures to Alice to follow up on those entertainment item that you just mentioned about train, bouncy castle, and rock climb. Anyone else have anything to add on it? Brian, and then Amy.
Do we know when the council will make a decision on the funds that we have asked for? Is that like a New Year thing, or is that like in the next council meeting?
So
I don't know.
the budget framework report is going to council actually on Monday night. And then actually on the agenda that was just released today under communications, I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but there is a 2024 budget schedule, and on there it has when council will be receiving the budget for approval. Kyle or Len might have that in front of them and might be able to tell me the date, but it is intended to pass before 2024 starts.
Thank you, Alice. Amy, you had some question, anything, comment?
I was going to say about the bouncy castle. I know another company that's out of Alton that the prices are kind of around 300 per day, kind of per castle. So if we want to look at different options, this one has like a lot of different options. Yeah, 4,000 seems a lot, but maybe that includes the train as well. I don't know how many bouncy castles they had, but maybe we can look at other quotes.
Yeah, Len, any follow-up on that? And
there were 4 large bouncy castles, so they weren't tiny ones. They were very substantial, and I'm not sure if the train was involved as part of that as well. But I mean, we're always open for other sources, so that's always good. Yeah.
Kyle and then Brian.
Amy, the only question I have for you, $300 per castle sounds fantastic. The question that I would have is, do they supply the supervisors? Because obviously we need to have somebody watching.
That was one of the reasons why at Ribfest we've never done bouncy castles, because it's a lot of work to run it. This company will just drop it off, and you have to run it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, Cyril, and then Len.
This question's more to Len. Was that insurance included in the $4,000? Do you know, like, did they provide their own insurance, or?
I can't speak to that. I know they did have staff. Their own staff was looking after the castles, so it was a staffed event. I assume they would have insurance, and have to have insurance. So
I just know, like, when you rent just a bouncy castle, there's no insurance with them, so you have to put your own insurance on them. So that's why I was just wondering.
Alice, I'll hear from you first, and then I'll go back to Cheryl, and I think Len had Len after that.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that with anything in that regard, like bouncy castles or whatever, you would have to get council approval for that, because again, it is on town land. So you would have to get council approval, and regardless of if the provider has insurance, the town and the committee would have to have insurance as well. So just keep that on your radar that it will require permission.
Thank you, Alice. Cyril?
Yeah, just, well, Len said it too as well. They do provide their own staff, because I asked the gentleman.
And Len, any further comment or no, you good? Perfect. All right. So committees, what I'm hearing, most of us folks are basically kind of looking into the entertainment area. And what Alice had said earlier as well, that earlier this year in July, Canada, we had a tough time finding those entertainment area for kids and so on. So I think it's a great idea to go ahead and start pondering those area. If you have sources, definitely you can reach out to them yourself, or maybe provide Alice some information to find out more detail from them. I have one kind of business to add on it is basically regarding the volunteer, because earlier this year we struggled a lot, and all of us kind of realized that we're short. So do we have any action plan this year in order to overcome those barriers that we had it last year for people signed up for volunteers, anything like that? Any suggestion? Yeah, Amy, go ahead.
Maybe when people sign up for sponsors, we can see if anyone if it's a business, if they have any employees that want to sign up to volunteer.
Len?
I thoroughly appreciated Brian and Kyle and your help, Samir, new equipment. It's not a small undertaking, and yeah, coming up short. I'm only 5'6".
I hear you. But I really appreciate both of you. First of all, you're resourceful. I've been sent to you on the day off as well, and I was kind of amazed how much you put in to town and the activities that held on Canada Day. Amy, go ahead.
I just had another idea. At RibFest, we contact local sports teams, things like that, to see if any of them can volunteer. And it's gotten to the point where at RibFest we have like one of the high school sports teams come and does all our takedown setup, and they kind of own that area. And it's been a really awesome thing that we did at RibFest. It's been super helpful.
That's good, actually. I do have a couple of the sports team that I could reach out as well. So definitely, it's great thought process. I really appreciate that. Anyone else has any suggestion? Brian, Cheryl, anything to add on? I think we're good on that. Alice, do we need anything else?
I don't have anything else under new business.
Anyone else would like to propose any new business that we can take on going forward? Nope. All right. I guess it is a time then, I guess. So Alice, it's time to adjourn, I guess, in that case. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
so you would just need a motion to adjourn.
Perfect. So item 6.0, adjourn the meeting to be it resolved that we now adjourn to reconvene at the call of the chair. If anyone can make a motion to adjourn the meeting today, that would be Kyle, seconded by Len. All in favor? Me too. I thank you very much. Really looking forward for the upcoming Canada Day. Definitely sounds very interesting as per the discussion going on right now. So let's focus on this year and make it big. I thank you. Take care.